I'm Casper Van Dien. You're watching RPadTV.
Guys, I think I did it. That's the fourth time I've tried to use this auto intro thing, and I think this is the first time I got it right. So fourth time is a charm.
Now you need to have like the Costanza moment where you just end the show right now on a high note.
Yeah, it's all downhill. All downhill from here.
That's the thing we're grateful for. There we go.
Yes. Yeah, as Carlos alluded to, it is Thanksgiving next week in America, and I wanted to use this episode to talk about nerdy things that we're thankful for in 2024. These are purely personal picks. We're going to be talking about movies, TV shows, musicians. We even got a book because apparently one of us can read. So before we get into that, let's just say hi, Mac. Let's go clockwise, starting with Mac. How's it going, man?
Looks like my hand is disconnected from my body.
It's like Lord of the Dance, but with your upper body.
It doesn't look like it belongs to me. There you go. Anyways, hi, how's it going? Good. Just getting ready. Same thing. Getting ready to be. We're gonna be out of town even for a whole week, so it'll be fun.
Very nice.
Visiting in-laws and what have you.
Carlos, what is going on in Chicago? Is it snowy and disgusting yet?
Yes, it snowed.
Did it
today? Yeah.
Oh wow.
And now it's turned to rain. So if you didn't get the shovel, now it's a big heavy piece of whatever snow is.
Yeah. So. Have fun with the don't drive if you can.
Well, unfortunately, I did have to drive, but I'm here, so everything turned out great.
If you get into an accident, learn and row is the way to go. So I've heard. No, I'm just kidding. And Paul, how are you in the other part of LA?
No snow, no rain.
Just 70 degrees today,
70 degrees, yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So let's just kick off things. Let's keep the same order, and we'll go into why the things we picked meant as much to us as they did. Mac, what is your first thing you will discuss?
First of the three, I think I have to lead off with, and I think it's suitable. It's just Deadpool Wolverine.
Okay.
I think that came out, it delivered, it punches all the buttons and flips all the switches for me that I wanted to. I'm one of the morons who went out and bought it right away when it came out just so I could own it, even though it's now readily available for free on Disney Plus. But it's I've probably watched it 10 times already since we've had it since it came out. So it's I think that's my first and foremost. It's right there. It's my go-to right now if I need a good laugh.
Now, I know you're a massive Deadpool fan. You also worked on the Deadpool game when you were at Activision. What is it about the movie that has you satisfied as a Deadpool fan?
It's just more of what you want, right? Like it's I feel especially on something like Deadpool that's a third of the trilogy at this point, like there's always the potential to get a little stale.
Yeah.
And they managed to just keep it just as fresh as you could imagine for this round. And I think part of that is the involvement of Hugh Jackman and Wolverine and the payoff for the whole kind of like back and forth between Ryan Reynolds and I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden on his name. Hugh Jackman just leading, for years, leading all the way up to like it actually happening and becoming a real thing. And I think just all of that just paid off time and time again for me as a fan.
Now, question. Now you say you've rewatched it 10 or so times. Did you rewatch the whole thing beginning to end? Or for me, there are a lot of scenes that I've rewatched dozens of times already. But
I watch it beginning to end. I'm like,
okay.
It's like I can just put it on and start, and then sometimes I'll pause it and I'll finish it a couple hours later, whatever the case is. But yeah, it's my I'll put it on the background just to have turn my head over here, I can see it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or a funny scene will come on, like you say, and I'll just peel away for a second, watch that, go back to work, whatever the case is.
Yeah, I think it's perfect for that because it'll always entertain you. But if you miss something, no biggie, you've seen it and you'll see it again anyway.
And I always go like, that's one of those movies, especially the first and maybe even the second time through, you spend so much time laughing hysterically that you miss some of the things. So like I've now seen enough where I could like say I've honestly like seen every minute of the movie and like got through the parts where I normally be laughing hysterically the first time. Now I saw what happened too. So it feels good to have watched it a lot.
How about you, Carlos and Paul? Were you guys fans of Deadpool? And well, actually, it's one of your picks too, Paul. So
Well, it was, but now I got to pick something else since Mac so rudely interrupted.
You guys can have the same. We can like the same thing.
I mean, share.
Yeah, Deadpool is for all of us, Paul.
I don't even know.
How about you, Carlos? Were you big on Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah, I enjoyed it in the movie theater. It was like one of the few movies that we got to see this past year, and now it's gonna be a while before we can make it to a movie theater. Yeah, it was a good way for us to end our movie watching for a little bit.
Right, go out with a rated R.
Yeah, going out with the rated R movie that I can't say that it's like the most like mind bending or like this is like the thing that's changing the Marvel universe. It is like a good way to, if they're only doing 3, this is a good way to end that Deadpool trilogy. And as Mac has said, it, I mean, pretty much I bought it too and I rewatched it, and I just don't want to have it as a background movie like Mac has. So I want to I kind of like, this is a movie where, okay, I watched it again. I caught the little tidbits that I might have missed in the movie theater. Right. And I'm going to forget about it for a little bit, and then I'll rewatch it when I forget. Yeah. The only one I could have like as a background movie is Scott Pilgrim. That's a good one too. And then I think the only other one that's like a Marvel movie that I like having in the background would probably be Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Scott Pilgrim, the peak of Brie Larson's career.
I will say, I think the best thing that can, so far, right? The best thing that can come after this Deadpool Wolverine movie is the door that he opened for Channing Tatum in the Gambit movie.
That was my favorite of all those cameos.
Absolutely.
I mean, although Laura X-23, I love that character.
Also great, and delivered on all of like what you would want from her being there too. But man, Gambit's whole show.
Yes. Right. And it's funny watching it now with subtitles now to see exactly what he's saying. He's like, that's what he said. I'm like, wow. So it actually makes it even funnier if you can believe that. So let's stick with our number 3 picks. Carlos, what do you got?
I'm going to go with, since it's no longer, well, at this point, not going to be made, we'll go with Time Bandits.
Yeah.
Time Bandits, I was a big fan of. Yes, the newer one, the 2024 one, that unfortunately has been canceled by Apple TV.
I know.
I don't have Apple anymore.
So
yeah, you and I reviewed this show. We both loved it, but why did it stand out for you, Carlos?
It mostly stand out for me because like this was a show that we could actually watch with my son. Believe it or not, like we kind of watch shows with him. Not like the cartoon ones like Bluey or some of the Mickey Mouse ones, but this was like one of the few like adult-ish like shows that he actually was looking forward to seeing. So the fact that he was able to like kind of understand what was happening and ask questions and like be interested in like time travel or interdimensional travel or multiverse travel, whatever type of like quantum physics that you need to possibly like try to make sense of how they're able to do or how they're able to avoid anything from like happening while they're traveling is pretty good, I think, for a 5-year-old to actually want to be interested in continuing to watch it. And that's what I'm thankful for, because it kind of like helped introduced him to something that I had enjoyed when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't force him to watch it. Like, me and my wife were just like watching it, and he was playing on his iPad, and then he stopped, and he's like, "What is this? What's happening to him? Oh no, why is he not with pirates?" We had to stop and explain it to him. So
that really surprised me, that the family aspect of it, because I wasn't expecting that going into the show, but it really is an excellent family show with aspects that appeal to young viewers and appeal to older people like us, especially if you watch the original movie, like I know you did.
Yep.
I love this show, and I'm actually gutted that it did not get renewed.
Why didn't it get renewed? Just like poor viewership? Like, what did Apple say, or was just one of many on the auction block?
I still can't find what Apple said, and I think that this was, I can't remember if this was this bought from MGM? Something just went out of business, or it got bought out from somebody, and I think they might have bought the rights to just see how it goes, and I'm not sure if they maybe didn't like what they saw, or maybe they're negotiating, and since they are negotiating, they're like, well, this is going to be a while, so let's just say it's canceled. They haven't said anything from what I've seen.
That's a shame, because I think Time Bandits was a fantastic series. Lisa Kudrow, who I know Paul is a fan of as well, smashed this role. But up and down, I like the episodic way this series worked. Like, in each episode, they pretty much went to a different time period. So in addition to the sci-fi nerdy stuff, you also have this thing that appeals to history nerds, because Kevin, the young boy in the show, is a history nerd, and he helps the Time Bandits figure things out in different periods of history, because they're basically idiots. So he is the smartest one among them. Coincidentally, my number 3 pick is a show that also got canceled. I'm talking about Star Wars: The Acolyte.
I would back you up on that 100%. I love that show.
Yeah,
me too.
I mean, it's not perfect by any means. There are reasons
but still great.
It. Yeah, I like that it did something different. It did a Star Wars murder mystery. I love the choreography for the fight scenes, which to me are up there with the very best fight scenes Star Wars has had. I love that it added layers to what the Jedi were, and had all these different factions of Jedi, different kinds of Force users. And of course, I love that there was a Filipino bad guy in it. That also made me happy. Mm-hmm. And we also had Jackie, who is also X-23, Daphne Keene.
Yep.
She's having a great year in the world of nerdy sci-fi fantasy. So she's
I think
like
I said this
goddess.
when like way back when. I think we did an episode on that previously, right?
Yes.
And I think it's like I might have said that back then, but it just reminds me of like it's the Thor Ragnarok like kind of standout movie of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh.
For that Star Wars, like it's such a different tone, pace, like characters. It just stood out to me the same way in Star Wars that Ragnarok stood out in the Marvel movies.
And I think we need different stories and to have different aspects.
What's the other? What's the one?
Well, there's Andor. That one really feels different.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking of. And then what was the movie that led to Andor? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Again, another great example of just like a total standout of the universe, kind of like when it kind of hit, and you're like, oh man, if everything could be this unique and different and cool, and then we'd have something, you know?
Right.
I think that's what we're going to get from Skeleton Crew, which is December 3rd, December 9th. I can't remember which.
Yeah, that's
right.
It seems almost like kind of like a Goonies in Star Wars.
Yeah, very much so.
Which again, if you can make that sandwich correctly, then great, right? Like,
yeah.
And another one I'm hoping to watch with my niece and nephew. Hopefully they dig it as well. Paul, let us close out our number 3 pick with you, sir. What do you got?
Well, since Mac stole Deadpool from me, I'm going to pull an
steal it.
I'm gonna pull an audible here, and I'm gonna go with Star Wars Outlaws, which was my favorite video. Which so far is my favorite video game of the year. There's still
Really?
2 more. Yeah, which I mean doesn't bode well for the year in general, mind you, but like,
Okay.
because it's not the best. I mean, it doesn't hold up compared to some of the better games of last year. It's not as good as the Jedi games, but it is a lot of fun, and especially when you get past the beginning. The beginning is very slow, but it got really, really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, we still have Stalker, although the early reviews are a little mixed on that one. And there's Indiana Jones that could, usurp
That looks
this.
really good to me.
That's coming out this year?
Show up for Indiana Jones.
Wait, which one looks really good to you, Mac?
Whatever Indiana Jones is being.
Oh yeah, the Indiana, yeah, that one looks like it could be that because that's Machine Games, who are the guys that made the Wolfenstein games. So obviously they know a lot about punching Nazis. Which
or
I mean, for some weird reason, I just feel the need to punch Nazis all of a sudden the last couple of weeks. I don't know why, but that could usurp Star Wars. But right now, I would say Star Wars is my favorite video game of the year.
I got to like the first big kind of common area in the game, and I just lost interest after running around for like trying to figure it out and just gave up. So I haven't played it since I put a few hours into it, and then I was like, this is too much. I'm never gonna have the time to even get to a point of completion in this game where I'd be satisfied.
Wow. I got really into it. That was the point at where it started to get really good for me. Like the beginning seemed very slow, and but after a while it got really good. And I ended up liking the character and the idea that you're playing like kind of it's the Han Solo game that we never got to play. The Han Solo before he met Leia and them. So
you mean with that Alden Iden, right? What's his name?
Yeah, it's something
I like that movie still.
That movie is really underrated. It gets a bad rap.
I watch it, and again, I don't, it's the one that's in the collection, so it's like I could turn on. But I don't shy away from that movie at all.
And plus, I love that they made Lando sexually attracted to his robot.
That whole dynamic was absolutely laugh out loud funny.
I love the robot. In that.
Did you guys?
They are doing I think a TV show.
Yeah, they are. They're still working on that.
Did you guys see
Glover.
The movie Role Models?
Yes.
So you remember when they're in the ceramic school and the little kid makes a plate that says Martin is gay for robots?
Yeah.
It always makes me think of Lando in Solo.
Role Models is a great movie, by the way, too.
I love that movie.
Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Stifler, that was Stifler's peak.
Yeah.
Paul, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What is that fine headset you're wearing? And can you tell me more about it?
Hang on.
Is it the Atlas Air? It is.
I don't know which one it is because I don't pay attention.
It's the Atlas
but
Air.
It is a Turtle Beach, which somebody who I think has a crush on me wants to get with me. Send it to me.
I will say, you sound wonderful. Your voice sounds very clear.
It is a fine headset for this purpose. I have yet to use it for multiplayer gaming, mostly because I don't like playing with other people. But I at some point I will. At some point I was going to because I reviewed Black Ops and I was going to use it for that, and then I remembered that there's a part of me that just doesn't want to hear other people when I'm playing.
I don't want to get yelled at by a 13-year-old. I just don't.
Yeah. Thank you, Mo. By the way, Mo is not the person who sent it to me and wanted to get with me. I just want to clarify that point.
I will say
I may be so Mac Gatesy about things for the moment.
All our headsets that we make, that to me, and I've tried them all, and I've worn them all, I've worn arrows with competitors, all that stuff. That to me is my go-to. That's the one that I wear when I actually have to wear a headset. Super comfortable.
It is very comfortable, which is nice because if you're gonna wear a headset for more than 10 minutes, you want it to be comfortable.
Yeah, you want it to basically disappear and not feel like you not remember that you're wearing it.
Is that wireless?
Yeah, it's wireless too.
And you can find out more.
I get one, Carlos. I thought I sent you one too.
Yeah, but you have to remember I have my wife, so I don't know how it works with our mic setup.
Yeah, she's just in there wearing it in another room.
You can
All right.
learn more about these headsets on turtlebeach.com, and you could even purchase them there. I should have signed up for the affiliate program.
Stuff starting like right now with like pretty legitimately amazing prices on things. So now would be the time.
And there's a direct link to the Turtle Beach site in the video description on Facebook and YouTube, so check it out. Let's go to our number 2 picks. Mac, what are you going with this time?
I'm going to combine 2 into one.
Uh-oh.
And they're both shows, one on Netflix, which is the one I started with, which is called The Night Agent. And I heard about that show. I'm super late to the party on this one, by the way, because it's not like new. But a friend of mine, like months ago, was like, "Oh, we started watching that," and I was in my head, I was like, "I've never heard of it before." I checked it out. We'll get to it, and then I think I tried watching the first episode one night, but I passed out, and then like never circled back to it until maybe like a couple weeks back. And my wife and I like watched it and got hooked, and like watched the whole thing through then. And it's just a good first season, like action, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Was a surprise kind of sleeper hit for me. And one of the things I liked about that show, which will bleed into the other one, is it's one of these, like, during the series, it tries to give you a, because you got like he's the good guy and he's protecting the girl that people are trying to kill. It actually tries to give you some context and some background on the actual killers and their lives, like when they're literally not trying to kill the people that they're after, right? So it just gives you this whole other like view into the dynamic between both like the people on the run as well as the killers. And then it was just neat the way that that kind of happened. So we really liked that show. And then all of a sudden now there's this the Day of the Jackal show that's on Peacock, and I started watching that randomly on a whim. And man, also what like a great show. Like I can't talk highly enough about it. There's a new episode that came out today I need to go catch up on. I just realized. But
so that's Eddie Redmayne and Lashana Lynch, right?
Yeah, and he basically he plays I don't want to like spoiler alert, but he plays like this contract killer who has a pretty like legit reputation, and then she plays an MI6 agent who happens to be like a gun nut and know every possible gun and who made it and how, and so it just kind of pairs them off against each other. But again, you get this whole look into like his life as a hitman, but outside of his life when he's not on the job. And it's just very weird to kind of have that, like all of those storylines playing out kind of in parallel.
That cast is kind of nuts because I think of him as a movie actor.
It is absolutely like probably one of my favorite shows of the year. And
she's fantastic as well. People might recognize her from Captain Marvel and the Marvels.
Just tough as nails too in the show, right?
So
like
I had a question about the other show you mentioned. You said it focuses on the killer's off time. Does it make them sympathetic at all?
For me, no. Like I didn't like them any better because of it. It was just neat and different and interesting. I hadn't seen a show do it that way.
Yeah.
And maybe their intention was to try and win you over, but like it just kind of gave you this other lens to look through. And it's like, hey, when these people aren't contract killing, they're they're doing other bad shit, but they're also trying to like decide if this is the life they want, and is there a romantic thing between them? Do they want to continue to, like, are they just partners and killers? Are they gonna try and stop doing this and get married and go have kids and find, like, it's just a very weird backstory to kind of witness in parallel with all the other like trauma that they're causing,
Yeah. But do they make it even weird? Like I want to see a contract killer that maybe collects like those Hummel figurines.
I will, right. I will say, like, when things happen later on in the series, it's fulfilling, right? Like, so whatever happens, life or live or death, like it's like it leaves you going, okay, like that storybook is closed and we're moving on.
Very cool. Well, I'm definitely interested. You've been pushing Day of the Jackal.
Man. Honestly, I did not expect to like it, and maybe it's just because you know, like it's a lot of times it feels like Hollywood's out of ideas, right? And this just feels, you know,
fresh.
Yeah,
Well,
new,
there was a movie. I think it's based on a movie that was based on a book, or maybe it's based on the book or something.
Yeah,
it's not like an original. It's
a Japanese movie that came out years ago that I remember. Maybe I'm remembering wrong, but like, yeah, it's just.
Well, there was a movie with it was like Bruce Willis and Richard Gere.
I thought it was Richard Gere.
Yeah.
I think,
and I think that was a remake of an old movie, but I think that old movie was based on a novel.
There's a
1973 I don't know how different any of this stuff is. It sounds to me like the TV show is nothing like the Richard Gere Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah, I don't remember. I would say that like this one is just such a contemporary take on whatever the origin of this is. It's just very like IRL, like that's happening now. Like if this happened now, this is what it would look like if it happened now. And it just feels more realistic in terms of like, you know, everything from the pursuits and the chases and the action to how the MI6 is handling things like along. It just feels like this could plausibly be real.
Yes, I have plans to binge this with a friend over Thanksgiving. So
you will be rewarded.
Excellent. Do you guys have any questions about Max picks? I'm excited for both of those.
No, the only thing I had seen it, but now that you like talked me into it, because I was like, man, Eddie Redmayne, the guy from that's News Commander.
I've never seen something that I really liked him in. I know he was in like
the Theory of Everything.
The newer Harry Potter movies with the.
Oh, that's right.
That's why I call him Newt Scamander.
Yeah.
Raymond.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen either of those movies all the way through, but like I've never really seen him in anything that like I was like, oh man, like he's just a very weird and unique like looking and acting person.
Yes, I agree.
So he brings like a weird level of like character to this contract killer / family man.
Now, Carlos, I don't know how you're going to top that pick, but what do you got for number 2?
I was just going to go with the Penguin.
Yes, a fine choice.
I started watching it, by the way. I just didn't watch enough of it to join last week's discussion on it, but I am episode 1 in.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, Carlos. It's your pick.
I was going to say, you know, as a Batman fan, I can't get enough of when we're able to get into more of the universe that isn't just Batman. So to be able to focus on one of his famous rogues, like the Penguin, that isn't the Joker or Bane or anybody else, it's pretty cool because we've gotten bits and pieces of the Penguin here and there in movies and things like that, but just to be able to get into like the ground floor, like you mentioned in the review, Raymond, you know, this is him rising up after him being like a mid-level guy in the Batman movie. So now we're seeing his rise to the top of the underworld of Gotham. So to be able to not only get that storyline moving and set up for the Batman 2, but we're also kind of getting like introductions to other players of note for Batman fans, like the Falcone family. We're getting more introduction into them. The Maronis, we're getting more introductions to them, and we're getting kind of like a little introduction to the institutions, primarily Arkham Asylum, because that's where Sophia ends up being institutionalized when she gets sent in for being the Hangman. So it's not only just like a Batman show, which I hear a lot of people like kind of nitpicking and saying that this show doesn't deserve all of the rave reviews it's getting because of that. And I think IGN gave it like a 5, and I like,
wow,
like
as a whole,
they got like all the advanced, like as a whole, like the whole series, they just gave it a 5. And I'm like, what are you guys thinking? Because it's like, even if it wasn't like, I know some of them get them like early, But if
Yeah.
episode 4 didn't win you over, then I have no idea how.
I haven't even got there yet, so I'm excited for that now.
Yeah, be excited for episode 4, Mac.
I am excited to hear you talk about episode 4 when you get to it, because it's so good to me. I am so impressed by this show, and I had zero, possibly low expectations.
You've been raving about it since you started watching it.
Yeah.
The reason it's on my watch list.
I mean, I liked the Batman movie by Matt Reeves. I didn't, love it, but the Penguin was not a big reason or any reason why I enjoyed it. So I was like, a Penguin series, I guess. And then I was floored by the acting and writing. And not just the leads, the supporting cast all around. There's like, it goes 6-7 deep in terms of performances here. But at the end of the day, Kristen Milioti just crushes her character. Really yeah.
So let me ask you guys this then, right? Because like I said, I want to watch the first episode, but I do remember when the movie came out, there already was a lot of hype and talk and discussion about Colin Farrell and his portrayal of the Penguin. And again, it was seasoned into the movie, like in very sporadic drops, right?
Yeah.
Then you take this and like, I go back to what you said earlier about the acting. It's just spot on. And like, to me, like Colin Farrell's performance is like the Penguin is just as palpable as Anthony, what's his name, as
Anthony Starr.
I'm sorry, what?
Anthony Starr as
Homelander? Anthony Starr as Homelander, right? Like Colin Farrell does such a great job as Penguin, and it was like so. Even in this first episode, it's funny because like he's limping around, he's got a solid one. They even show he's just got like in the movies, it's like Danny DeVito with flipper hands and weird teeth and feet, and Colin Farrell just has a deformed foot.
Right.
They even show it, and you're like, oh god, gross. Put a shoe back on. But like it was like that. Just to see that was kind of funny. And then ironically, like I was thinking the other day, I hurt my leg when I was out running, and I've been hobbling around the house and it dawned on me as like walking in the backyard on a phone call. I'm walking like Colin Farrell walks in the Penguin. Like it's so easy to do this really deep shoulder limp if you're,
But wait until you get a plastic cigarette holder and start being like, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, seriously. Somebody's going to come home and ask me a question and bug me. They're going to get quacked at,
Now, Paul, you did not watch this series. You've been very resistant to it. I've been nudging you to give it a shot. Are you still on the fence? Or are you still not going to watch it?
I didn't like the Batman movie. I was very disappointed by it, especially when I realized that it was a Batman version of the movie 7, which I should have loved because I love Batman and I love the movie 7, and it just didn't work for me. So that to me, yeah, I don't know what I get that people like it, but I don't know what the point is of watching like an expanded universe TV show when I didn't like the core thing, if that makes any sense.
No, I get it.
I get it.
I mean,
it would be like if you didn't like Star Wars movies, why would you watch The Acolyte?
Right.
But then again, you can say if you don't like Star Wars, you might like Andor because it's like the most un-Star Wars thing.
It's just sci-fi like drama.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still think the acting in this is so good that it is worth a shot. I mean, it's not really a Batman or superhero movie as much as it is like a Scorsese or a Soprano-ish kind of thing. It's a mob movie, basically.
Yep.
Mob series.
Yeah, see, but that's not selling it to me because I'm not a big fan of mob stuff. Like, I never got into The Sopranos. Like, I don't base my whole life on The Godfather, or Scarface.
You like the Hitman games?
No,
me neither.
I mean, I like Goodfellas, but that's like the only mob thing I've ever really.
But you only like that because
you could kind of get this like a Goodfellas type of thing, Paul. It could really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. For some reason, I always like Goodfellas. Like, I think is really fun, but like, every time I tried to watch The Godfather, I get like 45 minutes in, and I'm like,
it's. I wonder
what's on TV.
It puts you to bed.
I think this is more like Carlos is saying. I think if it's closer to anything, it's closer to Goodfellas than Godfather. So I don't know if you're really bored over Christmas break. I mean, the first episode will tell you right away. I mean, if you like it or not, it leaves an impression for sure.
Right.
But let us go to my number 2 pick, which is a young lady named Ray. Her name is easy for me to remember. So you guys know that I'm into guitar-based music, and one of my favorite players, which you probably don't know, is Corey Wong. He's in Wolfpack, but he also does a bunch of solo stuff. He's known as a funk rhythm player, and he's done a few songs with this Japanese artist, Ray. So I discovered her this year, and going through her back catalog has been so much fun for me. She's really good at blues guitar, really good at funk guitar, but she infuses her songs with these catchy J-pop
grapes.
with grapes, yeah. But yeah, she does like these cool songs that mix really slick guitar playing with catchy J-pop choruses. So I'm a big fan of her music. If you give her music a listen, check out her YouTube page. It's Guitar Ray here. In Japanese, the pronunciation is Gita. Give Coco, that's probably my favorite song of hers. Coco and My Name is Ray. Those are both songs that'll give you a good idea of what Ray is about. It's just like playful music with some serious funk and blues guitar licks.
Would I find it on Spotify?
You will find it on Spotify or Apple Music. There's a ton of my playlists. Hey, our friend Victor is in the house. Hello, good sir. And yeah, I really like Ray. She's musically my favorite discovery. Not like I discovered her like she was an undiscovered continent or anything, but
Started it all.
yes, like her music just makes me happy, and I'm so happy I found it this year.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And Paul, what is your number 2 pick?
Well, I'm going to go with TV, and I think it's interesting that we've picked a lot of TV shows. I really like the 3rd and final season of Sweet Tooth.
Yes.
I didn't catch up on that.
There's only the 3 seasons. I was a big fan of the original graphic novels, and this managed to do something kind of unique in that it's very faithful to the books, but it's also different enough that it doesn't seem redundant. Like that to me is always a problem. Like, especially like I noticed this with like the DC animated movies. Like a lot of times it's like I've already seen this. Like I've already read the book. I don't need to see the animated versions. The same thing.
They're pretty much straight up adaptations, like
right?
Frame for frame.
Right, but a lot of times when people do, TV shows or movies based on a book, they go really very different with it, and you almost to the point of losing what was cool about the original. And this manages to strike kind of an interesting balance between the two. For people who haven't read the book or seen the TV show, basically something winds up wiping out tons of people in the world around the same time that whenever a baby is born, it's an animal-human hybrid, so people naturally assume the animal-human hybrids are the cause of the apocalypse and whatnot. And I don't know where they found the kid to play Sweet Tooth, but he's so good in that role. And the whole cast is really, really good, but he's really just super likable and super believable as this kid who has got to deal with some shit and just never manages to lose like what was good about him in the beginning. And he could very easily go into like a depression over what's happened to him, and he remains hopeful. And as it's just really well done. Really well done. And it sticks to landing, which is always, a problem.
That's the hardest part.
Like the last thing.
Yeah. I'm just impressed they found a kid with horns that can act.
Yeah. I mean, where they found like the pig girl and the alligator kid. I mean, it's just amazing how
Is it 3 seasons and the 3rd season is the final season and they close it out in a way that like you said, like it sticks the landing and you feel fulfilled?
Yes, they went into it knowing full well this is the third and final season. This is what we're. And
so it's not lost.
Yeah, it's not like all of a sudden they were like, "Oh crap, we have to end it." So,
Right.
you know,
We're out of ideas.
right? Kind of like Star Trek Discovery, which is another TV show that I really, really like, but the final season, which aired earlier this year as well, didn't quite stick the landing.
Okay.
You know, it was okay. It was good, but it was the least
That's another one I
interesting.
forgot I started. I need to keep going with.
Yeah.
You know what, Paul? I want to go back to something you said earlier, and let us go on a little tangent.
Okay.
You said it was interesting that a lot of us picked TV series, and
Yes.
just in general, for me, this has been a down year for movies in general, especially for the movies that I love, like the small budget kind of things. Anora might be my favorite movie by default, just because the other things I've seen, especially small budget wise, haven't been wowing me. Maybe Dune was the most impressive thing visually.
Yeah,
Right.
visually for sure.
But yeah, is it do you guys feel similar? Is it a down year for the movies that you like?
Yeah, I only have like typically like a year, one movie beacon that I feel like, man, I hope I don't die before I see this. 'Cause, like, that was
Right.
right. Like I want to have closure on that narrative before I pass on. And so like this year, like Deadpool was that beacon. Like when I know they're coming, like I'm like, oh man, like I cannot wait for that thing. I don't have like, and that was this year's, but beyond that, like nothing really, really stood out that was like, oh man, like I was super excited about it.
Yeah.
Right.
How about you, Carlos?
Well, the other movie I was looking forward to besides Deadpool and Wolverine was Alien Romulus.
Oh,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my wife was a little bit further along in her pregnancy where she did not want to see anything bursting out of somebody's body. So
that is fair.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't argue anything there.
Yeah, so I was like, I have to wait, but that was, and I'm glad that it's been hearing, I've been hearing and reading that it's been getting lots of good reviews, to the point that even Disney greenlit an Alien miniseries,
Right.
that's going to be happening because of this. So I'm looking forward to that. Maybe once all the kids are sleeping, I'd finally be able to get into watching Alien Romulus now that it's on Hulu. So
Victor has some
Disney
interesting
Alien
picks
show
here. Victor mentioned Piece by Piece, Juror Number 2, and The Wild Robot, which I forget that was this year. That is a very underrated movie, I think. Also a great book if you have not read it. Speak No Evil. What else? The other one I'm looking forward to is at the very end of the year, Timothée Chalamet's Bob Dylan movie. I don't think it will top Anora for me, but I want to see if he can pull it off. I mean, Bob Dylan that's a tough one to go for, and it's been attempted a few times, and none of them went off very well as far as I remember. And I'm still trying to figure out if Timothée Chalamet is an actor or a movie star. Like I think he might actually be an actor, not just a pretty boy that stars
like
in
somebody's actually
movies.
talented.
Yeah. So let's see.
Not a Kardashian.
Yes. Paul, movie wise, are you happy or sad about this
I
year?
mean, for me, the last few years, the only movies I've really wanted to see have predominantly been Marvel and Star Wars.
Hmm.
And the problem that I have with movies is nowadays is because of, like, it used to be that almost every movie would show up on HBO. And if you didn't see it on HBO, you could at least get the Netflix. You know, this is back when they had the discs, and sure, you had to wait a little while. But now there's so many different streaming services and so many different things. And I'm at the point now where there's a whole bunch of movies that I really want to see. I don't know where to see them. I don't know where to find them. They're not on the services that I have. Do I have to get all these other services? Like, I never got to see Nope. I never got to see the science fiction movie. I don't even remember the name of it that the guy who made Rogue One did with Denzel Washington's son.
Yeah, I watched those too.
It's called The Something, and it's like, it's a like robots, like the outlaw robot intelligence, and then there's like
It was a good
it
movie.
looks like the Golden Child with robots. I had to watch one of the Ghostbusters on a plane, which is terrible. So that's where it gets kind of annoying. Like, it used to be so much easier to like find things,
Yeah.
and now it's like, I mean, there's just so many different services, and they all cost it, and it's like,
Paul misses the days of his TV guide telling him.
I have a little whiteboard just right here out of sight, and it literally has all of the like TV and game services that we have and pay for. And some of them right now have a line through them, like Apple TV. I said I'm not currently subscribing to, so that line item is now kind of off the table for the time being until we resubscribe.
Right.
And it's like stressful to like find like, oh man, I don't even know where to like go. Like, is that show on, or it's on Amazon Prime, but I still have to pay like $6 to watch it.
Didn't Disney just like allow pausing or something with they did something consumer friendly, which was shocking. But yeah, I think they allow you to pause their subscription or something.
What I mean, Netflix, like what I've always done is I reenact my Netflix thing at the beginning of the summer when all the regular, CBS and whatnot shows are off the air, and I binge all the Netflix stuff over the summer, and then I cancel again and start it back up. Smart. But then because especially with Netflix, like, there isn't something every week that I want to watch. It's like there'll be something in May, and then there's nothing in, June, July, August. And so like, but over the course of the year, I find like half a dozen to, a dozen things that I want to watch. And the summer is more than enough time to watch them, especially given that with Netflix, like there's a lot of times I'll start like a Netflix show and I'll be like, why did I want to watch this? This is dumb. I'm not watching any more of this.
Yeah.
So.
Fair enough. We have a few more questions here. Would you be interested in Deadpool and Wolverine 2? That's a massive yes for me.
No, I want to see Wolverine and Deadpool.
I mean, I like watching those guys hang out on screen. Ooh. They're just great together.
I think if they decided to do that, they would do it in a way that would not upset fans. Like, it seems like that's the trajectory for that franchise so far. 3 movies deep, so
fair enough. But I mean, Deadpool's had 3. Wolverine, what's he at 4 now?
If you think about it. Yeah,
he had that shitty one with Will.i.am. He had that one where he went to Japan.
Wolverine, Old Man Logan, or Logan.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Logan, and now this. I don't know. Yeah, would you?
I would absolutely be interested in that.
I am down for it.
I would watch it if they start making them like as a vehicle for introducing the X-Men more. Like they go out and they start bringing X-Men, that aspect, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Like if Gambit needs his own movie that has strong cameo appearances by Deadpool and Wolverine, then great.
I would like to see them keep going with like the Wolverine family and have more Laura, and then eventually get Honey Badger in there. Well, I think it's a fantastic character, just like a psychotic toddler killing machine. You need more of those.
I would like that to join Hitmonkey into the.
There you go.
As well, like
Hitmonkey is hilarious.
That would be a really epic move.
I think they're doing a second season of Hitmonkey.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Victor mentions there's a lot of superhero stuff in the pipeline. Yes, Secret Wars, X-Men versus Avengers, Fantastic Four, of course. Yeah, it is going to be crowded, but
hard to get excited for another Fantastic Four, though, right?
I like Pedro, so
I do, but like I just feel like, how many attempts can they make?
Well, they can actually make a good one.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, my whole thing with those movies is they always made like the worst possible version of Doctor Doom, who is such an incredible character, but all the movie versions of him sucked. Like one, he was an evil businessman, and the first 2, and then in that reboot, they made him an evil tech nerd, And I'm like, no, Doctor Doom
Like
is science and magic. Yeah, like, but now that they have Downey playing him, that has me excited.
For me, it took the 6th time to get Spider-Man right, and when they got it right, they really nailed it. So
yeah, that's fair.
They didn't get it wrong the other time.
I was not a big fan of any of the 5 that preceded it.
You love
Nicholas Hammond. Really were too far, but like, yeah, I definitely like the more recent ones.
What you guys? Aspects of them, I mean, Toby was the first run for movies, and for the first attempt, I think he did fine. I thought Andrew Garfield was a great Peter. No, a great Spider-Man, but not a great Peter.
The mouth was there.
So yeah, he had the quippy thing down.
He was lanky, so he had the build down.
He was a genius. He started Facebook. At least that's what I saw in a movie. So Mac, you had
so fun just to net swing around in, by the way. Like,
yes, absolutely. Now let us close out with our number 1 picks for things we're thankful for in 2024. What are you going with, Mac?
This is going to be a weird one. This has been my secret guilty pleasure for the past few months, but I had been looking for a game to just play and keep me occupied long term, and I ended up just jumping into games that I had like dabbled with in the past but never really kind of committed to, and I ended up in Mass Effect. So I've been playing all of the Mass Effect games from top to bottom, and like as completionist as I can, like getting every side mission, getting every like thing that you can find, getting every upgrade, like literally like going to the depths of each game, and then importing my character from 1 to 2 and from 2 to 3. And I'm about 50% plus of the way through the 3rd game now. And it's just been, it is like my wife and kids will walk in and they'll just, it's like, oh, this is to me, it's like the book that I keep reading. It's just, I keep getting further and further and further. And the more you kind of put your, build your characters and add more things by exploring more of the world, it just opens up more fun dialogue and things to play. And it's like literally if I'm not at my desk or outside doing something, I'm probably sitting in here playing my Mass Effect.
Very cool. I'm a massive BioWare fan, so
that makes I worked in BioWare way back in the day too, in those days. So it's fun to just to kind of play games, especially with people that you know and like.
Ray and Greg are awesome. Fantastic.
Still are you going to play the 4th one, Andromeda, or are you going to quit at the end of 3?
So I don't know. I was going to ask you guys because I know Andromeda didn't have like such a good rap, right?
Yep. Yeah, but I don't like Mass Effect as much as the other BioWare games because I'm more of a swords and sorcery kind of guy. So Dragon Age is more my wheelhouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the reason I liked it is that even though I loved the first 3 and as a total, and then did what you did where I started with the one character and played them the whole way through, in rapid succession, I didn't go into that 4th one expecting it to be as good. I expected it to be sort of a new beginning.
Okay.
And because if you remember, the first Mass Effect wasn't nearly as good as the second one.
Oh no, it's a massive jump from 1 to 2 in terms of everything, quality controls, like all that stuff, storytelling, narrative. It's much better done. And
I think that from a technical standpoint, Andromeda is better than 1, but from a storytelling and whatnot, it's not. But it is really, really good. I think if you go into it not expecting it to be Mass Effect 4, but expecting it to be Mass Effect Andromeda, then I think you will enjoy it more.
Okay. I mean, I'm probably going to play it. And that was kind of goes back to the, what am I thankful for, right? Like, I feel like where I'm at in the game now and how long I've been playing it, like it's kind of been the thing in the background, keep me going through this, season. And it will probably carry me all the way through like the end of the year, just kind of depending on how much I kind of continue to dip into it.
Very cool. That is a surprise pick and one that made me very happy. Now, Carlos, you have a more personal experience as your number 1. What do you got?
Yeah, just like Mac, I actually got to do something that I've been wanting to do since I first saw this particular event actually happen. I and my wife got to attend a WrestleMania event.
Nice.
The whole premise of our podcast. So we got to meet up with people that I have been in touch with that I sometimes join their podcast when we are trying to make predictions for some of the pay-per-view events or premium live events and theorize and try to write out how they might go with the certain storylines and things like that. The whole experience, like, it's kind of like attending a sporting event. It's pretty much, if you're not like at the floor or close to the floor or the ring level, you're not gonna enjoy it. But but I still, and we still managed, I think, to make the best of it for our first event. They have a convention that kind of goes along with it. It's called WrestleCon. So we got to meet Sting, and those are the other two gentlemen we got to meet of the podcast Championship Wrestling, Andrew Doyle and Dre Moore, and we put in for a photo to do that. So we got to meet Sting for a very brief moment. It was very nice.
Did you ask Sting if he could sing Roxanne or something?
No, but Dre got to go to, like, they had a Q&A with Sting the previous night. So he actually asked Sting a question, like, if Sting was to come up with his own promotion, like start fresh, who would be like his first 3 or 4 wrestlers that he would pull to start the promotion with? And he actually had Sting stumped, and he's like, wow, I've never heard this question before and I've never been asked this. I'll have to get back to you. And Sting remembered that actual question. So when it was our turn to take that picture with them, he's like, I'm still thinking about my answer. I'm going to get to you. If I see you again, I'll let you know. So the fact that Sting actually still remembered it and, you know, was able to pull that back out for him, you know, was a pretty cool experience for Dre. But we got to meet other people. I was a big fan of Tito Santana growing up, so being able to stop by his booth. And then they started adding experiences. That day of WrestleMania Night 1, we got to do breakfast with breakfast with the champion. So whoever was a champion who had a championship belt was at the breakfast, and Tito Santana was actually there. So we got to actually sit down, have breakfast with Tito Santana, and just hear him talk about his stories. They had other people there. They had Ron Simmons. They had
Did Tito have a flying breakfast burrito?
No, they did not have those I think it was just like quick eggs and bacon and some fruit and things like that. I
heard this story, and can you confirm or deny if it's true? But I heard that a wrestler made your wife cry.
Yes. And that was Jake the Snake Roberts.
Wow.
Yeah. She got to meet Jake the Snake Roberts, and she's been a big fan of Jake the Snake Roberts since we've been rewatching WrestleManias. So just like having that interaction, and then I didn't provide that picture to Raymond, but like they were talking more than I got to talk to Jake. And when it came to do the photo op with him, he was just like, hey, darling, just stick out your middle finger. So there's pictures of Jake and her sticking out the middle finger, and I'm just there like a dunce, like posing normally. So the fact that she had to have that like little moment with him was pretty cool, I think.
So did your wife also start crying when she learned that Linda McMahon was going to be the head of the Department of Education?
No, because that was
had your children's education in the palm of her hand.
Yeah.
So like you, Carlos, I've been a fan of wrestling since I was a kid, and WrestleMania always seemed like this thing that, you know, I would never have an opportunity to go to. But thankfully, through the video game business, I've actually been to quite a few WrestleMania events, and I'm so thankful for that. More Thanksgiving. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go with my number one pick, which is something I've been ranting about lately. A few weeks ago, my friend Minjung recommended a series called We Are Lady Parts. And I'm like, yeah, she's a smart lady. I will watch this on her recommendation. And I absolutely love this series. It's very British. It's very different and skilled. It mixes, sitcom comedy, rom-com comedy, but it also has some genuine and serious issues of, women struggling, being a minority in England, questioning their sexuality, dealing with Islamophobia. And it also has these catchy punk songs that they do. Basically, this one biology student is recruited into this all-Muslim girl punk band, and adventures and hilarity ensue. It's just a very smart, very sweet, very funny series. It's only two seasons of 6 episodes each, so it's a quick thing to digest on Peacock. I cannot recommend this enough. I mean, I love the show on its own. I love the music enough that I added a few of their songs to my Apple Music library. And it's just very unique and different. And I am very happy Minjung recommended this to me. Very happy that I discovered Lady Parts as well. Not on me. I've discovered Lady Parts.
You said it that way on purpose.
There's no good way to get at that one. And Paul, your number one pick.
Yes. So I wanted, as people who know me and who follow me on social media know, I'm an avid reader. I wanted to pick a book because I've read a lot of really good science fiction and fantasy this year. But when Raymond asked me about doing this, I got stuck and I wasn't sure what to pick and whatnot. And I decided just earlier today to go with a book called City of the Undead by C.L. Werner. And this is how nerdy this is. It is a zombie / medieval fantasy novel based on a board game.
Nice.
Like, it literally couldn't get any nerdier unless it had like music by Rush. And the idea is, it literally is what exactly I just said. It's a cross between kind of Zombieland-esque zombie stuff, but in a medieval fantasy realm. So there's like magic and sorcery and dragons and all this cool stuff. And it's not a very heavy book. It's not a very it's just a really fun read. It's actually the third in the series, but it's not like a trilogy like the Lord of the Rings where it's like, a one story told over 3 books. It's just a lot of fun. It's a little silly, a little goofy, a little lighthearted, but especially if you're a fan of zombie stuff and fantasy stuff, as I am, it's just really unique. Didn't make me want to play the game at all, but
It's funny looking at the cover. It reminds me of a young adult version of World of Warcraft. If that makes any sense.
It kind of does look like it. It isn't. It, like I said, it is. It's not like heavy. Like, it's not like Game of Thrones meets The Walking Dead. Like, it's definitely lighter than that. But it's also just a really fun, fast read. Like, you can rip through one of the books in like 2-3 days.
Very nice.
The board game that this is based, City of the Undead.
No, the board game is called Zombicide Black Plague. So there's a series of board games called Zombicide, which are like zombie survival games. And then they do different versions of it. They have one, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like a sci-fi zombie game. And then they also do another one called Zombicide Black Plague, which is where the setting is like a medieval fantasy Lord of the Rings kind of realm.
Okay, got it.
And the games are supposed to be really, really fun too, but like I said, I don't, it's hard to play board games on your own when you're all alone in your house.
You could take turns, just keep going to the other side of
How
the
many
board.
different voices can you do? That
Or we could just zoom it. We all get a copy.
That'd be really sad. Me like sitting in my apartment by myself playing a board game on my own.
Paul, this reminds me of a story of one of my friends that you also know. She was an only child, and she told me stories how she would play Monopoly by herself, and it would make me really sad. Like,
who is this?
I'll tell you when we stop rolling. But,
there was one like a few months back where Michelle, my wife and I just were like playing Trivial Pursuit by ourselves, like, which is a long game to engage in when it's just the two of you.
that is true. But I mean, two, I can kind of see that. Sure, why not? But like my friend was playing Monopoly, like she would be the shoe and the top hat and just take turns playing herself, basically. I don't know.
It's funny.
It made me so sad for her. So that will be a wrap on our Thanksgiving episode. I'd love to hear what you guys are thankful for in 2024. What movies, music, TV shows, video games, anything really. What made you happy this year? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section. That hurt. Was that really loud?
It didn't sound soft.
So, as I said, next week is Thanksgiving in America. We won't have a show next week, but we will be coming back in December. We got a few things in the works. This year is actually the 50th anniversary of two amazing Mel Brooks movies, Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles. We're going to have an episode to talk about these movies, which are, I'm just blown away that they're 50 years old. I think they still stand up today. Two amazing, amazing movies. Just outstanding stuff. And then since it is the end of the year, we're going to do the best of thing. Yeah, I know, but you have to do it. So we'll have an episode on our favorite movies, TV shows, games. We'll figure it out. We have a few more things here. Paul, are you on Blue Sky now?
Yes, Mo, I am.
You are Paul Semel.
I think I'm just Paul at paulsemel.bluesky.
I still need to do that too.
Yes. I'm
on everything. I'm literally like, as long as it's not like about conspiracy theories or
look out your window. There he
bad
is.
spray tans, I'm literally on every social media site,
including Truth Social. You can follow Paul.
No, you cannot follow me on Truth Social.
Paul.
Although there was a point at which I was like,
Paul.
should I go grab my name on Truth Social just in case
just to get it?
And then I'm like, no.
Little do you know that I've had that account for a year already.
Your reputation is ruined, sir.
You get into fights, you tell people that you're going to zap your space lasers at them and send a hurricane their way. And everything.
That's your most common threat, is the space lasers.
Yeah.
Well, the weather thing now, I don't know. Those are both very powerful. Oh, we are thankful for you guys as well and your show. Paul, I will let you have the last word and take us out of here.
Thank you all for watching. Have a very good Thanksgiving if you are in America and celebrate. If not, think of us next Thursday if you happen to eat a bird.
And really, couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for watching RPadTV.
Yes, you could have.
See you guys next time.
I'd like to put a motion